Good evening, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Change Starts With Us, Ohio. And this is Edward Lang, Part 3. Go ahead, Edward.
What's going on, James?
Not much. It's always good to have you on and to fight this battle with you.
All right. Something that I definitely want to, reiterate from the conversation we had yesterday was regarding the DNA on the gun. I had a transcript in front of me so I can, speak more, clearly and accurate on exactly what was presented, because it was presented as if my DNA was on a gun, and that's how it is presented online, which is not until, not the truth, So
right.
I wanted to, read a portion of the transcripts to clarify that. And
this call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
So I'm going to begin reading it. It says, Michelle Foster testified about the DNA evidence. DNA was collected from appellant, which is me, Walker, my co-defendant, and Burdette and Miss Cheek, who are the victims. Although Lang's coat had some soiling on it, there was no blood. Lang's white shirt had no blood on it. There was blood on his red shirt, but it was his own blood. The DNA testing performed on the pistol concluded that Walker was not the major source of DNA. She could not exclude Lang as the possible minor source of the DNA. She could not, however, say that Lang was to a reasonable degree of scientific certainty the source of the DNA on the gun. None of the individuals involved in the case could be excluded from the smaller DNA sample. The amount of DNA was too small for submission to the FBI CODIS. Now, it's a play with words there, because the DNA was too small to be submitted into the FBI CODIS database for them to be able to determine whose DNA it was. However, she said that it wasn't my co-defendant's, but she could not say whether it was or wasn't mine. You understand what I'm saying? So what my lawyers did was, when they got the chance to cross-examine her, they had her clarify that, because she made it seem like it was mine. So at close of argument, the prosecutors took that around with it, and she was like, well, she excluded Walker, so if Walker DNA wasn't on the gun, then it had to be Lang. There's only two other people involved, Lang and Walker. Walker was excluded, Lang wasn't, which wasn't, entirely the case. And my lawyers did not re-cross-examine and then iterate on closing arguments that was not in fact true. Furthermore, again, the gun was my gun. I bought the gun from a flea market. I was caught with the gun. So whether my DNA was on the gun or not, it doesn't mean that I killed these two people. My co-defendant admitted to handling the gun. He admitted to chambering around in the gun. He admitted to knowing how the gun worked. You feel me? So, that's no here there. So I just wanted people to understand what that means,
That makes a lot of sense, though. And you've been honest from day one when I talked to you. And I believe you're, innocent of the shooting part. Maybe you should have gotten time, but you should have never been put on death row.
Absolutely. I from the very first day I was arrested, I was honest enough to admit my involvement. Like I said, I signed up for a robbery. I'm not proud of anything I did. I'm not using anything of my struggles, my adversities, the things I went through in my youth as an excuse for what I did. I was living savagery. I was out in the streets. I was caught up in gang violence. I was, dealing drugs, and I was robbing drug dealers, and that's what led up to this incident happening.
Right.
I signed up for a robbery.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
I never intended for no one to get hurt. I didn't plan for nobody to get hurt. I didn't know anybody was going to get hurt. My co-defendant took it upon himself to do what he did. And when everything hit the fan, I just wanted to be, eliminated from the whole entire, ordeal. So I tried to help him get rid of the gun. And in the process of me trying to help him get rid of the gun, I was arrested, and that's how I ended up having the gun back in my possession. You feel me? Like, he stated the same thing I stated. However, he stated that I committed the crimes. He took the deal. They wanted me to testify against him for a deal. I refused to, so they allowed him to testify against me for the deal. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how I ended up on death row. Had I testified against him, then our outcome would have been different. I just refused to. I didn't want to to testify against the guy.
Right, because you were trying to do the honorable thing that anybody that was locked up would not telling people. But obviously, he's not too honorable because he lied on you.
Absolutely. Not just that, but, other people was involved in a sense of, I didn't know this guy really too much of just seeing him around the neighborhood. And I was introduced to him through a female that I was involved with. The female that I was involved with was the one who actually gave him up to the police. She was the one that told the police that we was involved. Initially they didn't know that we was involved. They didn't really have nothing, to really go on. We got arrested 2 days after the murders took place. They didn't really have nothing. They didn't know nothing. They just start tracing numbers that was in the cell phone that was used to determine, who he was. And they start interviewing people. They interviewed the dude, Teddy Siri. He was one of the guys who testified against me at my trial and said that I admitted to him that I killed these two people. However, the testimony that he gave at trial is different from the story that he initially gave them when he got locked up. He also, admitted that, he had caught another case. He had caught a drug case that he was trying to use my case to keep from being convicted on a drug case. You understand what I'm saying? So, and like I said yesterday and the day before, I have proof of everything I'm saying. I have all the statements. I have the crime scene photos. I can prove what I'm saying. I've been trying to prove what I'm saying. The lawyers.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
The lawyers that I had was incompetent, and I'm one of many situations where people sit for decades before they get the opportunity to have a platform like this to be able to speak their truth and people to believe in them and to put their faith in them enough to really get them some attention, to be able to get a reversal, to get exonerated, or to get lesser time, or to get out of anything. So I just wanted to let people know that just because someone is found guilty of a crime, that don't necessarily mean that they are guilty. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, you're correct on that.
Not just that, but like the criminal justice system itself is flawed in many ways, and it's like, situations like mine is going to continue to happen if more people don't speak out against the system. If nothing else, I want people to take away from my situation is, hold these politicians and legislators and judges and prosecutors accountable for the flaws that they perpetuate within the system. Technology and science is way too advanced today.
Right.
To continue to justify why there's people being wrongfully convicted of crimes and being over-sentenced and overcharged. Don't just wait until your family get locked up, before you begin to care about what's going on in the system.
Right.
It's many young guys out in this world that's going through the struggle that don't understand themselves, that don't understand life itself, that make mistakes, and they're not given second chances. They're given life without parole. They're given long stretches. And something that I've always posed to people, like a person that's doing 3 to 5 years in prison, when they get out of prison, recidivism rates are high because they go back out there and get caught up in the same things. Some of them, not all of them, but a lot of times guys that do 3 to 4, 5, 10 years go back out in the world and continue to get caught up in the same cycle because they can't get jobs, they can't vote. The odds are already stacked against them versus someone that has.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
All right. Yeah, someone that had life without parole, at that point in time, after so long, we get to a point where we become overwhelmed with the fact that we're never going to go home. We see our family go through the struggle, we see our kids go through the struggle, and we can't do so much to help alleviate their pain and struggles. And I will bet $1 million on anybody that a person that has life without parole, if they're given a second chance, they're going to make the best out of it versus someone who might have 3, 4, 5 years. You feel me? What I'm saying? You got guys in here from all different walks of life, that are using this time to their advantage because they don't have nothing else but their family and friends and loved ones.
Right.
I wrote 6 books. I wrote 6 books since I've been in prison. I draw, I write poetry, I write music. I'm trying to make this time count for something. And, when my last appeal was denied, instead of me being bitter and angry at the system and regressing it and making it worse, I just chose to put my energy into trying to do something to make my daughters be proud of, to say that, my daddy is doing this, my daddy is doing that, not just my daddy is in prison, and let that be the end of the story. But something they can say, my daddy is doing something with his time. You feel me? Like, and it took, someone, a female named Nikita Soares that, believed in me and gave me the opportunity to speak my truth and gave me this platform for me to be able to have this opportunity, and hopefully something could come, about it. And if more people out in the world that's fortunate enough to have a platform, if they believe in someone that's locked up or believe in a youth that's out there doing wrong, conditions can change, Right. It can change circumstances in so many lives, Like, it's just not about me, I'm one of many.
Right, and Nikita is an awesome lady too.
You say what's there again?
Your friend that believes in you, she's an awesome person.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I didn't know this woman from Adam and Eve. She just seen, that the system let me down, and the system failed me. She reached out to me, wanted to know who I was as a man, and once she got to know who I was and got to know more about the things that I was saying on these phone calls, it's like, she been in my corner 100%, and she believed in me, and that reignited something within me, because I was discouraged. You feel me? Like, I just felt like, I'm gonna just make this little time count. I don't know what tomorrow gonna hold. I don't know what the system gonna happen. I don't know if they gonna give me an execution date. I don't know what is gonna happen. I got hope. But when she believed in me the way that she did, and put the support behind me, it just really resonated with me in a way that it made me believe in myself more. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm thankful for that. More people had that. You never know. What that can do for a person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about your younger days, but if you're like me, I did a lot of wrong stuff. But I don't believe you're a killer, though. I believe you committed crimes, but I don't believe you're a killer.
I'm definitely not. God knows best in regards to what,
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional facility and may be recorded and monitored.
Regardless of what, comes forth from this, whether I make it home one day or, get off death row or whatever happens, I'm not going to be discouraged no longer. I'm going to continue to fight, not just for myself, but just, for others. I got a young guy that will be contacting you hopefully tomorrow, DeMonte Graham, and he's in the same situation. He came in here when he was 18, and I've been helping him grow in his growth and development. And, when people hear his story, hopefully it helps somebody else, realize that, the system itself need to be changed. Like, and the only way we can change the system is to vote. People need to get out and vote. People need to get out, really make a change. Like, people got social media platforms and music platforms and all kinds of platforms. Use that to help people. Like, don't just use it for self. Self-preservation is the key to life. But, we gotta show compassion to other people.
Right.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Well, brother. When can you call back?
I gotta wait a half an hour. I can call back at 1:45.
Well, let's make it for tomorrow sometime.
Okay, tomorrow same time, 6:00 or.
Let's try. I'm trying to think. Can you do it anytime late morning? Oh, wait a second. I got a doctor's appointment. Let's try for 1:00 tomorrow.
1:00. That's perfect.
Okay.
All right, James. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, brother. Okay.
All right,
bye. Folks, he's been straightforward with me since we started talking, and my beliefs is not necessarily the beliefs of Change Social That's Ohio, but it aligns up pretty much because our number one purpose is wrongful convictions and those that are totally innocent. This guy has been honest, and we know. At least I know one guy they found out was innocent after the execution. Right now, the governor has put a stop to the death penalty in Ohio. Michigan, I believe, did away with the death penalty, and I believe Ohio could do the same thing. So let's see what's going to take place. And let's pray for this young man as we need to for all those who are incarcerated, guilty or not. Let's pray that, that God will work in their lives as he has in mind and so many other people. Our website, everybody, is www.changestartswithusohio.org. And I'm looking for um, group's phone number. I can't memorize it though. I'm not quite that brilliant. Our business phone number is 614-507-4593. If we're not available, just please leave a voicemail and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Again, that is 614-507-4593. Our email is changestartswithusohio@gmail.com. Everybody have yourself a great and awesome evening.